quickly. Feel free to pause this at any point if you want to have a look at that in more detail. So it's two-sided measurement tips. So if you're new to moisture measurement, then this will definitely get you started. But there's also a lot of information online about moisture metering different products. And this one moisture meters different products for sure. So operation couldn't be simpler. Press the power button to turn it on. Boom, it comes on. I had my hand in the way, so I've made that mistake. Let's turn it back off. When you first turn it on, you should turn it on without anything in the way of this sensor back here. This is the sensor. It's an electromagnetic sensor. There's also a chart on the back that goes through different moisture levels, dry, mid, and wet for wall, masonry, softwood, and hardwood. Probably difficult to see there, but and while we're back here, I'll show you the battery. It's just a 9-volt battery. Came with an included battery. I've been using it for a couple of weeks fairly constantly, and the battery hasn't dropped at all. So that's good. It came with its own battery. So that's it in a nutshell. When you turn it on, keep your hand away from this back area so that it can calibrate. So you come up front, touch the on button, and boom, we are calibrated at 0% in the softwood mode. That's the mode that I use most often for pine, fir, spruce, that kind of stuff. The various modes are 4. There's softwood, hardwood, wall, or masonry. I don't use wall or masonry. Well, wall I've used a couple times. Masonry I rarely use. I'm mostly using softwood and occasionally hardwood. So I have some samples here. I thought I'd run through and do some quick testing on you, if you can see. So we'll take the first one. This is just a small piece of Douglas fir or tamarack. It's an end cut off of a 2x4 project that I did. And so this was fell in late September of last year and dried for nearly a year, as it's now December. And then I cut it into and made it into a project the other day. This is kind of the minimum size. They recommend that your piece is at least as big as your sensor for testing. So basic premise is all you do is set it on there, hold it nice and firm against the surface, and there it is. 13% is the moisture content at this point on that piece of wood. I have some other softwoods here. This is another piece of fir. Hold that on there, 14%. And of course, if you measure different places, it's going to come up with a different reading, right? So we've got 15.8 over here. This is maybe closer to the outside where maybe there was some sapwood. I have a piece of cedar here that's presumably a little drier. 10, that's it. Oh, you can't see with the glare, can you? Here, there we go. So that one's sitting at about 8%. Slide it around. Do we get a different reading? Not really, 9.3. If you wanted to change that angle and look at it, you can simply press hold, and it'll hold those numbers for you while you move around and look at it. To reset, you hit hold again, and it goes back to a running measurement. Over here, I've got a piece of spruce from Home Cheapo, and it's running about 11, 13%, somewhere in there. You make sure you depress it fully so you can see what it's actually reading at. So around 13. That piece has been sitting in my shop for probably 6 months, so it's a lot drier than you'd get off the shelf at Home Cheapo. Measured this one, measured that one. Next I have over here, I have a piece of oak. This is an offcut from a project made of this is reclaimed wood out of somewhere in Saskatchewan, a barn in Saskatchewan. So this is going to be fully acclimated to our climate here. I'm going to switch into the hardwood mode, put it on there and hold it down, and that's around 10.6, 10.9, 9.7, somewhere in there. So you could hit that there and say, you know, give or take, it's around 10% moisture content for this piece of oak. Last but not least, I have a piece of brick, just a broken off piece of brick that I had sitting out in the shop. So we're going to switch, take it off hold. We're going to go into wall, no, we're going to go into masonry. So in masonry mode, we're going to hit this and measure this, and around 30%, so it's quite wet. And the reason for that is it was sitting kind of on the floor in the corner next to the door in some water, so that explains that. I'll leave it in masonry mode for a second so you can see, if you have it in the wrong mode and you inadvertently try to measure something in the wrong mode, it simply shows 0. It won't let you measure in the wrong mode, which is good because there's different scales of moisture content for different products, such as masonry, wall, softwood, or hardwood. Okay, I've coated this board here with some water just out of this plate, and what I'm interested in knowing is, does it have an alarm system, or will it tell you when the moisture content is too high? Now, this is surface water. It's certainly not water. It's certainly not water that would be in the grain of the wood, the central grains. So let's put this on there and see what we get to. And you can hear the alarm is going off. It's saying, hey, that's some wet wood. So there it is, showing us that this wood is way too wet. If I flip it over to the dry side, back on we go, it's around 15%. And that's what you'd expect for a fairly dry piece of SPF from Home Cheapo. So that's it in a nutshell for this little guy. You know, if you're looking for a non-destructive way of doing moisture meter reading on certain products, wood, walls, etc., this is a great way of doing it. For around that $50 price point, you really can't go wrong with this guy. This is everything that comes in the kit here. It's all set up for you, easy to use, easy, just plug and play literally. 2 thumbs up from family of 4. We really like this product, and we're going to be using it a lot.